This is Hogwarts Legacy. We're doing a comparison. On the left, we have Xbox Series X. On the right, we have the Xbox One. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well, as these videos are a ton of work to put together. So we've got a few different options here, and we're not showing off all of the Series X options in regards to the high frame rate modes, because I kind of wanted to focus on some of the core elements of this because, well, frankly, there's just a lot of mode options. So you'll see a bit of loading, you'll see a bit of, the visuals and everything like that. Cool, let's dive in. So with the Xbox One version, which is on the right, we will have the regular mode, which is running at 720p, and it will be uncapped. So you have the option when you're doing the Xbox One version of Hogwarts Legacy to uncap or cap the frame rate. By default, it'll play at 720p 30 FPS with some drops. And if you uncap the frame rate, it'll be 720p up to 60 FPS, but it's more like 40, 50 FPS or something like that in situations, and it can drop further, should the situation kind of arise. So on the left with Xbox Series X, there's also like a ton of different modes that are kind of present within this one. So you get everything from like ray tracing to quality mode to performance, and you're going to see those pop up on the screen over time with like a little note when the actual aspect of it is starting. So quality mode for the Series X version, which is again on the left, is 1800p at 30 FPS. Performance mode is 1440p at 60 FPS. Ray tracing mode is 1440p at 30 FPS with shadows and some reflections, not the water, and some ambient occlusion to a degree as well. There's also two modes I didn't showcase in the comparison, which are the balanced mode at 1800p 40 FPS and performance HFR, which is 1080p uncapped up to 120 FPS, but it's more like 80-ish FPS kind of is what you're getting there. And I chose not to do the super high frame rate mode because YouTube's frame rate limitations, it didn't really seem like there was a need to. We already have how many modes going on at the same time, and also balanced mode just because it runs at like sort of essentially what quality mode is, and it's just slightly higher frames. I didn't necessarily think it was worth throwing into this comparison. So I hope you do see a good balance here. Some elements of like, the open world, some elements of like sort of some tighter spaces, but the idea was really to showcase sort of the technology going from like that base Xbox version all the way up to the higher fidelity options, or just some of the various modes for the Series X version. I just wanted to show how that technology is kind of different. And actually, again, I do want to give props to the Xbox One version of the game. Aside from the crazy loading times, it's actually not too bad of a version. Obviously, you will notice throughout the video that on the the Xbox One side of things, that there's going to be some geometry that loads in slower, some textures that load in slower, some blobby things here or there. Some stuff might not be like fully quite rendered and available, and sometimes it takes forever for doors to open, which is kind of funny, and I just keep looping the footage, which is, I think, a good laugh just seeing how faster the loading is. But that's kind of what it is. It's like, it is amazing that this runs on the Xbox One like it does, and it's also just amazing how much of a visual upgrade you do get when you go all the way to the kind of the Series X version of things. It is a substantial visual fidelity improvement, whether you're going for something like where there's some ray tracing effects, or whether you're going for something where there's like more performance mode, where you do get that balance of having that frame rate that's actually kind of smoother now with the updates and everything too, and you do get that full sense of the open world. It's really neat, but it also kind of, I think, showcases that this is very much a current kind of, or I guess you would say last gen or cross gen kind of game. Yeah, let's go with cross gen, I think, is the most accurate sort of note of it. So we're still not seeing the full potential, I think, of, well, basically the current generation series consoles, or the Series X in this particular situation, being used effectively. And if anything, the Series S isn't being pushed as much as it really could, because this Xbox One version, I actually think, for how old the hardware is, it's actually quite impressive. But yeah, the biggest things here are going to be like the fidelity, the clarity of the world. And I did try my best to line up like time of day and atmosphere, but it's really hard in Hogwarts Legacy, because it's like, the changing time of day, the weathering, the clouds. Like, it's, it's an open world where it's dynamic and different and changing, and that in itself makes it very hard to actually get everything lined up. But I hope you found this comparison to be kind of maybe a little interesting, seeing how the technology is different, seeing this sort of trek from like inside the castle to outside the castle to Hogsmeade, I think is a good progressional thing. And just again, the loading is just wild. You know, like going from Hogwarts to like the outside area, it's like, okay, it's not like the worst, but going like fast traveling within like the outdoor world like takes minutes. It's insane. It really is, just seeing how much like the loading technology's changed, and the visual technology too. And yeah, Hogwarts Legacy, delightful. I really do enjoy this game. It's a lot of fun. So I thought it would just be a fun kind of exercise just to directly compare, you know, that Series X version that we know, all the way back to that new available Xbox One version of the last generation, you know, console and stuff like that. It's just interesting. So once again, you know, liking the video is great, subscribing is great as well, as these are a ton of work, and just enjoy some more comparison footage if you want to see a little bit more of it going toe to toe and seeing everything in action.
Merlin!
Does it get any more cozy than Hogsmeade?
Might seem like hard.
I beg your pardon, but would you mind helping? Merlin!